Hello, you're welcome to my channel, Physics with Kels. In today's lesson, we are going to consider loudness and amplitude. You're welcome back. Loudness and amplitude. Now, before we talk about loudness and amplitude, you need to know that loudness, pitch, and timbre fall under the three characteristics of sound wave. So sound waves can be described by these three characteristics. So whatever sound it is, sound or musical sound can be distinguished from each other based on their loudness, based on the pitch and the timbre. So loudness actually depends on the amplitude, pitch depends on frequency, and timbre depends on the material that is making the sound. Now, to be able to understand this relationship fully, we need to review some features of wave, like wavelength, amplitude, and so on. Now, for the wavelength is the distance from one point on a wave to the same point on the next wave. For instance, the distance from here to this point is known as the wavelength. The distance from here to this point, a similar point on the next wave, is known as the wavelength. Now, the amplitude is the distance from the center of the wave to the highest point of the wave or to the lowest point of the wave. Okay, now if there is a mean or equilibrium position here, then the distance from that point to the crest, or the distance from that point to the trough, is known as the amplitude. The frequency is the number of waves that passes through a point in 1 second. You can have 5 waves passing through a point. You can have 10 waves passing through a point in 1 second. You can also say that the frequency is the number of waves produced in 1 second. Wave with higher frequency will have a short wavelength, like what you have here. While those with lower frequency will have a long wavelength, like what you have here. Okay, so the distance from the crest here to the crest here is longer than the distance from this crest to this crest. Okay, so we can say that the relationship between frequency and wavelength is an inverse relationship. For you to be able to study the relationship between amplitude and loudness, we need to talk about the oscilloscope. The oscilloscope is a device that helps to convert the back and forth vibration of particle into a sine wave pattern or a sinusoidal pattern. Okay? Recall that the forward vibration of a sound wave, of the particle in a sound wave, causes a compression or high pressure region, okay, which is known as the compression region. And the backward vibration creates a low pressure region since the particles are separated, which is known as the rarefaction region. Okay? And recall that the distance from the highest compression region, the middle of the compression, to the middle of the next compression is the wavelength from your previous lesson. So an oscilloscope helps to change this pressure region into this curvy wave-like pattern and displays it on a screen for you to see. First, the microphone produces an electric signal that represents the sound. The microphone must be connected to the oscilloscope. The signal is displayed on the screen The image on the screen shows how the pressure varies with time, how the pressure changes with time. High pressure, low pressure, how it keeps alternating. Where the line of the screen goes up, the particles are close together. And where the line goes down, it means that the particles are far apart. That is a refraction. Okay? Now, oscilloscope, like I said earlier, displays the high pressure region, that is the compression region, the high pressure region, and the low pressure region, the refraction region. Okay? Now, recall that I said earlier that the distance from the middle of the high pressure region or the compression region to the middle of the next high pressure region is the wavelength of the wave. Okay? Now, the relationship between loudness and amplitude. Loudness and amplitude are one and the same. There's no difference. Okay? But first, what is loudness? Loudness is how much energy the sound carries. A loud note rather, will have much more energy compared to a soft note whenever a musical instrument is played or whenever a sound is made. Okay, we can also say that loudness is the rate of flow of sound energy per unit time in a given area, which is also known as the intensity of the sound. Okay, so high energy, high intensity represents the loudness of a sound. In an oscilloscope, a loud sound is displayed with a large amplitude. So amplitude is a way that an oscilloscope tells you that this sound is loud or soft. So a loud sound will be displayed with a longer or larger amplitude, while a soft sound will be displayed with a smaller amplitude. Okay? Now, what happens when you amplify a sound? If you are asked to speak to an audience, you may notice, without a microphone of course, you may notice that those at the back may not hear you clearly. Okay? This is because the sound produced is being dissipated, the energy is being dissipated, it's being transferred to the surrounding, and most of the energy is lost. So the sound gets softer, okay, with distance. Now, for you to solve this effect, you need to amplify the sound. And the object that does that better is an amplifier. To be able to amplify a sound, you need the microphone and the speaker and an amplifier. You connect the microphone to the amplifier and the speaker to the amplifier in the right position. Okay? You make a sound that have a small amplitude, maybe a soft sound, and then the amplifier amplifies the sound and gives you a larger sound as the output sound, signal or output sound. Okay? It's quite easy to connect it. Make sure you connect it at the right, in the proper direction, proper region in an amplifier. The speaker connected and the microphone connected. Sound wave is received by the microphone, converted to electrical signal, and then amplified, and then transferred back to the speaker to give out a larger output like what we have here. Okay? In this case, it's a case of an amplifier connected to a speaker as well as an oscilloscope to be able to study how the amplitude changes. Guys, I believe you enjoyed the lesson. For more videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.